Today, terrorists from Israel and Hamas are engaged in a deadly conflict with each other. Hamas militants have abducted a number of Israeli citizens from communities that are located near Israel's southern border. The Israeli military decided to launch a massive operation in order to extract their retribution on Hamas and liberate the hostages. Israel's aerial assault on the Gaza Strip is currently operating at maximum capacity. This evening, according to statements made by the Israeli Air Force, they intend to launch airstrikes against hundreds of important targets located in Gaza. 12 buildings were destroyed by bombing because they were used to store insurgent equipment and supplies. According to the Israel Defense Forces, 3 Hamas terrorists who had been carrying out operations against Israeli targets for several days were among those killed in the attacks. The homes of high-ranking terrorists, together with their arsenals, supply depots, and communications infrastructure, were among the targets of the attack, in addition to the fact that these locations were being used as military command centers. The Hamas headquarters hidden beneath the ground are the primary attractions here. Israeli soldiers are currently attempting to destroy a network of tunnels used by Hamas fighters. Hamas has built a network of tunnels starting in Gaza City, according to a statement by Jonathan Canrikas, an Israeli military official. It is common knowledge that Hamas has maintained its control over Gaza for the better part of the past 20 years. Since then, Hamas has dug a network of tunnels beneath Gaza City, connecting it to Khan Yunis and Rafah. Mr. Canrikas said a few things. There are 2 groups to take into account in the Strip, the population on the ground and Hamas above them. Our current objective is to breach Hamas's second defensive line. No civilians in Gaza may take refuge here. 4 days of relentless Israeli shelling of the confined territory nearly devastated the neighborhood of Ramal, the beating heart of the Gaza Strip. Israelis have launched their most aggressive bombing assault in recent memory, according to residents of the beleaguered enclave. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant has threatened to invade Gaza on the ground after Israeli airstrikes severely damaged the territory's infrastructure. The Health Ministry in Gaza estimates that in the 5 days of warfare, at least 900 people have been killed and 4,600 injured. Israeli bombs have destroyed apartment buildings, street trees, and shops and cellars. Hamas's disastrous war has tragically become a disaster. Israel has been in danger of fighting on numerous fronts ever since the war began. This danger, sadly, is increasing daily. Israeli infantry and artillery forces are currently working on fortifications along the northern border between Israel and Lebanon. In addition, Israeli forces are reinforcing a border zone in readiness for the possibility of Hezbollah carrying out attacks across a wider area. A significant portion of Israel's armed forces has amassed in the southern part of the country. In the past, fighting between Israeli troops and Hezbollah members has taken place in this location. The number of people killed as a result of these wars has reached shockingly high levels. If Hezbollah, an organization that is designated as a terrorist group by the United States, joins the fight in an organized fashion, that might be problematic for Israel. Because Hezbollah possesses missiles that are capable of reaching Tel Aviv, Arab leaders and diplomats believe that this would place a burden on Israel's military as well as the air defenses that the country possesses. In the event that Israel begins a ground attack in Gaza, Hezbollah has informally threatened them that they will open a second front. On the other hand, there is a lack of agreement among Israeli officials as to whether or not Hezbollah will carry out the threat. In retaliation, the United States has sent a warning to Hezbollah and Iran stating that it is ready to defend Israel from any significant attacks launched by the Lebanese militant group. In the event that Hezbollah launches an attack, the Israeli defense minister has vowed to completely wipe Lebanon off the map. Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State for the United States of America, recently traveled to Israel to show his support for the nation. At this point, Blinken said that the United States has sent an aircraft carrier to the region in order to serve as a war deterrent against Hezbollah. We are on the verge of having the sword split us in half, according to a retired Israeli defense general. The official continued by stating that it is not healthy to live in a state of perpetual tension. Since Hamas started its assault in the south over the weekend, daily clashes on this border have been a source of escalating alarm for the Israelis and the Palestinians. A significant number of residents have uprooted their lives in search of opportunities in other locations. People who were left behind are concerned that another battle is just around the corner. As a result of Israeli border troops hearing rumors of a massive invasion by Hezbollah 2 nights previously, the atmosphere grew highly tense. In the middle of the night yesterday, 2 Israeli soldiers moved into combat positions in a pine wood that was located close to the border. Their radios were blasting with urgent notifications. The radio presenter continued by saying that all indications point to a coordinated attack. As Israeli drones flew overhead, the sound of air raid sirens and automatic gunfire resonated over the olive and pomegranate plantations. When the word came from Israel's Home Front Command for Israelis living near the Lebanese border to seek urgent shelter, a small group of terrified Israelis huddled inside. The order was sent to Israelis living close to the border. When they were waiting outside of the bomb shelter, a group of 6 soldiers were given a warning by one of their own to prepare themselves. The Israeli authorities have reportedly come clean and revealed that the military lied to them about more than 10 hang gliders entering the country from Lebanon, according to allegations that surfaced yesterday. Over the course of the last weekend, Hezbollah and Israel exchanged fire, with the latter group firing a large number of mortars into Israeli territory. 3 Hezbollah fighters were killed as a result of the ensuing Israeli attack in Lebanon. Hezbollah launched an attack as retribution, which resulted in the deaths of 3 Israeli soldiers and the deputy commander of a nearby army brigade. The following day, Hezbollah fired anti-tank rockets at Israeli positions close to the border. Shortly after that, Israeli and Hezbollah fire resumed along the border, around 16 kilometers, 10 miles, away from the Mediterranean Sea. According to Yoel Guzanski, a senior research fellow at Tel Aviv University's Institute of National Security Studies, this a two-front war, in which rockets are coming from both the north and the south, will throw a tremendous deal of pressure on Israel's much-touted Iron Dome air defense systems. Rockets will be arriving from both the north and the south. The topic of Iran's nuclear program is now being debated at Israel's National Security Council. Compare and contrast Hamas and Hezbollah. The structures in Tel Aviv are going to be demolished. The number of fatalities in Tel Aviv is expected to go into the hundreds. Unfortunately, the militants of Hezbollah are significantly more effective than those of Hamas. Officials in Israel are working hard to prevent Hezbollah from joining the fight by any means necessary. Yoav Gallant, Israel's Minister of Defense, made a surprise visit to Israeli troops stationed in the north not too long ago. During the time that he was stopped, Gallant gave the soldiers a few words of caution. Don't make any mistakes. In the event that there is any form of conflict or unrest in this location, we shall send Lebanon back to the Stone Age. The people living in northern Israel are putting together emergency plans. Shamura is a small Israeli border community, and the majority of the town's females and children have been forced to go in order to ensure the safety of the men who have stayed behind to guard the area with automatic weapons. If Hezbollah decides to launch a major offensive against Israel, Israeli forces stationed all along the border with Lebanon have warned to deal a terrible blow to the terrorist organization. According to Asaf Maimon, an Israeli reservist who is stationed on the Lebanese border, the soldiers there are upset about the deaths of friends and family members that occurred as a result of attacks carried out by Hamas over the weekend. There are a few steps I need to take in order to render the dangers posed by Israel on all fronts irrelevant. A shift in emphasis is necessary, in my opinion. That will kick off the procedure of shipping them out to be slaughtered at sea. I apologize if that offends you. Be assured, we are not killers, but the situation is hopeless. Another Shamaran man, Eli Rangelati, who is 39 years old, also voiced his concerns. Our fury is geared solely toward the radicals, not any of the innocent bystanders that are present. We are one of a kind, in contrast to others. We, in contrast to them, are not merely animals. What they did is something that not even ISIS would have done. It is very evident that feelings are running extremely high on both sides at the present time. Keep an eye out for new information as it emerges. We are grateful that you have been keeping up with us.